All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Kingdom of the Kael Isles. Yes, this is one of my custom D&D campaigns set in my really screwed up, crazy world, and I've decided that we're going to put a huge emphasis on just lots of dragons, to really get into that whole Dungeons and Dragons feel. So, I don't have any big announcements right now, so let's just dive into it. The party recently got back from the Feywild to find out that the Kael Isles have been taken over by dragons, and lots of them. They were able to escape with their old friend, and were able to find a little pocket of resistance where Fade was able to see his mother and his sister, and everyone was able to get a bit of a rest. While this was all happening, Fade decided to invoke the power of his deity, and something strange happened, and now his deity is mortal. And they had fun dealing with that fact. As they were all kind of dealing with just the weird circumstances they'd been put in, one of their friends from the Feywild, Aramis, showed up and mentioned that the Eladrin had beaten back the offensive that they kind of fled from, and we're going to try and help out as much as they could. But in order to do that, they had to clear the portal site from the Feywild. And so the party went back and fought a couple dragons, which was pretty damn cool. So now we're kind of recovering from the onslaught of the dragons. The red and blue dragons have both escaped, whereas their dragon knights. What was that?
Just clear my throat.
Oh, sorry. Where their dragon knights are not dead yet, but are bleeding out. So you can see the serrated death is kind of just going around the ruins that you guys are in, looking for any stragglers. He's sending Fluffy around and just preparing in case there's another attack. And so is Aramis. He's wandering around. He's looking at the skies and everything. What do you guys want to do?
I'm pretty sure I killed those dragon knights.
One of them was definitely in half.
Yes, you are right. I believe, was it the red one that went in half? Let's call it the red one.
Yeah.
I mean, do we still want to talk to him? Because that's the thing.
I was about to say, if they're cut in half, I'm going to say Speak with Dead's not going to work very well. But the other one, I was giving you guys a chance to interrogate somebody, but
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Is anyone bleeding profusely? That's what I'll do. I'll survey my team.
Well, the Blue Dragon Knight is. Oh, on your team.
Yeah.
I don't think any of you guys got super bad. I think Willow was kind of hurt.
Oh, I did, but then you healed me already. I'm good.
I'll just
I lost,
go ahead. Sorry.
sorry. The things with digital D&D. I lost 79 HP, but I mean I'm still in triple ditch.
So gross. I hate you. So I'll walk over to Avok, but in passing, I'll just kind of like flick my hand and I'll spare the Dragon Knight, just so we can talk to him in a minute, if possible.
So he was kind of gasping for air and coughing up blood, and as you just kind of wave your hand, you see his breathing gets slightly more even, and he kind of sinks down to the ground, shuts his eyes for a little bit, but you're fairly certain he's not unconscious right now.
So I'm going to heal Avok for a whopping 13 hit points there, with a 2nd level Cure Wounds when I get up to him. You look all right, buddy. Good job.
He comes up, just kind of slaps him on the butt. Good job, buddy.
Okay.
Thanks for the talk before. I feel better.
No problem. Here's my pencil.
I'll look around. You know how to write?
Well, that's going on. Willow, go ahead and make me a perception check.
Okay. That's a natural 20.
Hey!
Wow. Not a bad way to start off the night. So as you're sitting there and you're kind of surveying yourself and just making sure everyone is, as alive as they can be, you suddenly kind of see this glint that catches your eye. The sun reflected off something shiny. And before you can even help yourself, you just suddenly realize that you're kind of running over to it for some odd reason. You just feel inexorably drawn. Wow, that's a fun word to say with a stutter. Not drawn, the other big one. To this thing, and as you come over, you see within about 3 feet of each other, you can see a red dragon scale and a blue dragon scale that fell off during the fight. And as you're sitting there looking at them, you suddenly just get this idea into your head. And this isn't the first time this has happened. You first realize that every so often you would just get these inspirations and you would immediately understand how to do something. Normally it's alcohol that does it for you. You'll be sitting there and you'll just have a bunch of booze and stuff, and you'll suddenly just know, oh my God, if I do this and this and this, and it turns into this really amazing drink. But this time you're looking at these dragon scales and you suddenly just understand. You know dragon scale itself is incredibly hard and durable, but these scales have a sheen and a luster to them that you think if you could get the right tools and use a little bit of magic, you could fashion them into translucent, almost gem-like, where you could see through them. And you suddenly remember those goggles you were working on. You're like, these would work perfectly as lenses. And again, all of this is happening without you consciously making any decisions. You're just kind of doing this, which is another thing that's a little awkward for you.
Immediately just sits down and pulls out her magnifying glass and is comparing and just completely lost for.
Okay. So that happens.
So I point to the blue guy. He's not dead. Shall we have a conversation?
Did I miss?
Should we tie him up first?
I mean, that's not the worst idea. I think that's a great idea. And I pull out what remains of my 10-foot left of rope.
Okay.
And I'll proceed to tie very bad knots because this is not something I do often.
Yeah. So you guys watch as Fade sitting there and saying things. Okay, the rabbit goes around the tree, into the hole. No, around the hole and into the tree.
Getting very upset while I'm doing it too.
God, I hate rabbits.
I would kind of have a better idea about untying him.
Yes and no. You can try. Go ahead and make a survival check if you want to help him out.
I give up. This is ridiculous.
Right.
Who uses rope?
Really? 12.
12. So you go over, tying someone up, not an incredibly difficult process. You go over, it takes you a few minutes. By the time you're fastening the last knot, he's starting to kind of rouse, and you're actually a little bit surprised at just how quickly he's regaining his strength. Like as soon as you kind of tie it off, he starts fighting against the rope, and you can already see he's starting to strain it against it to the point where had you not gotten that knot done when you did, he probably could have broken out. And no more than a minute or two ago, he was or just barely conscious.
Am I still near him?
Yeah.
Can I take out my I'm gonna take out my scimitar and put one arm in a headlock and the other one pointed at his neck.
Okay.
You're gonna die, buddy.
He's actually gonna try and headbutt you. He rolls a 6. So as you sit there and you're trying, and he just size-wise, he's probably got a foot easily on you. He's a bigger guy, and so as you're sitting there trying to get your arm around him into the headlock, he just throws his head back, and you instantly just move your head back just a little bit, and he hits nothing. And so you just, but as he throws his head back, he exposes his neck, and you instantly just pull your arm and kind of fasten yourself in and straddle his back, so you're kind of like a monkey. And you've got your arm around his neck, you've got the scimitar going right across here, and he suddenly just, as soon as he feels the cold steel on his neck, he suddenly gets much stiffer and stops struggling quite as much, because if he continues to, just by having the blade there, it will start to cut. So you guys see, Kata has become a scimitar monkey now.
My friends want to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
And he tries to spit at you, but you're behind him. So he just ends up spitting on the ground.
If we're behind him...
Kata is. You guys are,
okay.
Probably 20, 30 feet away.
Feel free to interrogate him.
If I just, to Fade, get rid of that.
Walk up. So, hello. We've been away for a while. The whole dragon thing that you got going on, that's cute.
You shut your mouth, you blasphemer.
Oh no, don't start this way. And I will touch him and hurt him badly. I will make his ears ring.
I was about to say, before you do that, you're relatively certain that he's not, as much as he's very strong right now, he doesn't have a lot of hit points.
Yeah, I'm gonna thaumaturgy in his ear and say,
Okay.
let's not do that again. I want to make his ear bleed.
And so you hear him kind of cry out. You see his face contract. You see a little bit of blood spill out of his ears.
Then I'll slowly walk to the other side. Can we just have a talk?
My master will enjoy ripping every limb off you one by one as you watch. This is his birthright, and that disgusting golden bastard stole it from him.
He didn't steal anything. He was busy. He was tied up on the ground, dude.
And as you're speaking to him more, you notice something. You've dealt with the humans of the Kael Isles, and they tend to have relatively similar features. There's some variations in skin tone and hair tone, but everyone tends to be a little bit darker. They're either tan or just have darker skin naturally. And their hair tends to be like you don't really have any blondes that are human. They tend to be Eladrin, and everyone's hair is a little bit dark and just from being in the sun all the time. You notice this person looks different. You notice his face looks different, like just the shape of his face and his nose and is just different than anyone you've ever seen. When you look at his eyes are this deep, rich blue that you've never seen on a human. There are Eladrin that have that really kind of piercing blue eyes. You've never seen a human with it. You also notice his skin is a lot more pale than you're used to seeing. And as you're talking with him and you're listening and his accent doesn't sound quite right, you're starting to realize you don't think he's from the Kael Isles.
That tracks. I can see that. So I'll let him get his bravado out of the way. Are you done? Till your dragon's here, we can just talk, and when it gets back, you can watch it kill us, right? So that's gonna happen, right? So let's just talk until that happens.
Nothing to say to you, blasphemer.
Now, why do you say that? Like, you're standing literally on the place where I grew up. So you're not from around here. I don't know you. I don't know your boss.
I know the symbol you wear.
Cool. Good. Then you know I'm about to kill you if you don't start talking and being polite.
You worship a false god. The
Nope.
True power comes from the Dragon Lords.
I'd kill him.
And as he says that, you guys watch as Fade just grabs him by the throat. You hear this kind of gurgling, crunching sound, and then he falls over.
And then I can't speak with the dead.
I was about to say, unless you wanted a magical touch to that.
No.
I'm gonna say that at this point.
Yeah,
Laurel
I
has
want to go with the
stopped.
body.
Yeah. You cannot.
She has been sitting, ignoring, and then hears the slicing of a head, and then is like, okay, this can happen later, and then goes and figures out what's going on.
By the time you get over to him, he's already about halfway through casting Speak with Dead. Avok, are you going to join him at all, or are you content to be over by yourself?
Oh, yeah. thought it was like nearby. It's just like
I wasn't actually sure because you didn't specifically say it. So if you're nearby,
close-ish.
you're nearby.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I walk up a little closer, and oh, that was delightful.
So Fade, as you finish it, you watch as the throat, which you crushed his windpipe. You watch as his windpipe kind of uncrushes itself, so there's a pathway for air, and the body just kind of twitches and it seems ready for your questions.
Hello again. Do you know what just happened? And I show him. I like bend his head unnaturally so he can see his body.
I died.
That's right. And I can bring you back and do this as many times as I want. So, instead of you giving me bullshit answers and wasting my time, how about you tell me the name of your dragon friend that we just saw?
Damn it. Yes, that makes perfect sense for you to ask about my dragon friend, and of course, being the
His name is Blue Boy.
Dungeon master I of course have his name already there. His name is Tide Earth. He goes, my master is Tide Earth, the storm drake.
So he's not even a real dragon, he's a drake. Oh, that's too bad. Sorry for you. I guess
He can't
right.
quit back unless you ask him.
I love it. I love it so much. This is a one-sided
You
talk
can
shit.
see like there's pain in his eyes as he wants to quit back.
So you've clearly failed your master, Tide Earth, the storm lizard. And I'm interested in letting him know how badly you failed. The only way I won't do that and give him your remains to do whatever he or she wants, I will ask you one more question, and I really hope you can tell me the truth, or we're going to do this all over again. Why are you, your dragon friend, and all the other dragons, what's so important about this area? Why are you back?
It is the key.
Okay, I lied. I have two more questions. The key to what?
To other worlds.
Are always so special.
What is the name of the red dragon we saw?
I don't care about the pitiful beings my master will crush.
All right, well, good talk. You didn't screw up here, so I'm just going to let you die now. And I throw the head into the ground.
I believe you get 5, so...
That's all I cared about. I think I did 5, actually.
I can't count right now. So
Yeah, I think I
I
used them. Yeah, I think I used them.
Cool.
And then I look at, turn around
You
and see everybody
fantasy
else.
Name generate?
So, did you guys hear what he said? Or what it said?
Kind
He
of.
dies and
we
his
actually-
hand just kind of morphs into a middle finger.
That's cute.
Does the spell let us hear it too, or is it just
Yeah, he speaks audibly.
actually speaking? Okay,
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
So apparently the whole...
It is slightly creepy to watch the first time, but I believe all of you've seen it before, so...
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I did it recently to someone. I don't remember who.
You know, who needs to keep, prisoners alive when you can interrogate them after they're dead?
So I look at Avok and say, so if you want, we know the blue dragon's name and we can taunt the shit out of him next time we see him. Then maybe he'll stay and fight instead of running like a little chicken.
Good to know.
And then I look at Kata. Sorry for the unnecessary violence there, but he kind of said the one thing that was going to make that happen, so it had to happen.
Not cool.
Should we be hanging around here right now, or should we go?
You're
I don't know.
supposed to be securing
Try
the
the ground.
Yeah.
I'm gonna summon my familiar, so a hawk appears on her shoulder,
Okay.
and she just tells it to circle around and figure out what's going on. See if there's anything else nearby.
The hawk.
Would
Takes
this
wing.
count as a short rest?
Short rest would be an hour, so
Okay.
you're not
So I can do nothing.
quite to the point where you could short rest. I mean, you could try. You just don't know how soon the dragons will get here. Supposedly, according to Aramis, the reinforcements should be showing up any minute now.
I'll try to keep a lookout then.
I think I'm going to heal up Avok some more, so I'm going to spend some time rolling dice here.
Okay.
You guys
So
do what
as
you want to do.
as Fade kind of focuses on Avok, you're just kind of looking around, just being the kind of battlefield aware person that you are. You're looking for threats. You're not willing to let your guard down until you're in a place that is actually safe, and there's just too much wide open space for this to be safe. So as you're looking around, you suddenly hear some movement behind you, and as you look, the Dragon Knight that was on the ground almost in pieces now has suddenly kind of sat up.
What?
Awesome! As I look
Oh
over.
no, no more zombies!
And lunges at you, Avok. What would you like to do?
I clap.
Huh. Alright, down boy. I'm just gonna bat him away with my
Okay.
axe.
So as you bring the axe down, his hands grip your wrists, and you realize, because you've had people fight you before and wrestle with you, there's no strength in these hands. The muscles aren't contracting or anything. It's not the body that's doing this. It's almost as if there's something else kind of moving the body for him. And as you sit there and you swing your axe down, there's not enough resistance to stop even just the weight of the axe coming down, much less with your strength adding to it. And you just bring the axe down and the arms get chopped off. And the body just stays there, suspended in the air at an awkward angle.
This is fantastic magic.
Dude.
Well, Kata, you're the first one to notice the body is not standing on its own. Kata, you actually see some bizarre growth growing out of the ground that's basically gone through the body and is holding it up, kind of like a skeleton inside of it. Avok, as you're sitting there, the hands won't let go of your arms, and they're getting tighter and tighter.
Shit.
And as you're sitting there, you suddenly feel your skin get pierced.
Shit.
And you feel something working its way through your arms as you
No.
try to rip the arms off of you. They tear fairly easily, but you notice you now have this
No.
kind of hard, almost chitinous growth that is now enveloped your arms, very very similar to bracers almost, and you can feel something going through your arms. It's gotten into your chest. It's moving up your neck.
Can I cast Dispel Magic?
Sure. Make me a spell attack roll.
Okay. 16?
Okay, so as you sit there focusing on it, the first thing you realize, this isn't arcane magic.
Motherfucker.
This is it has a magical nature to it, but the majority of it is natural. And as you sit there, focus on it, as you're trying to dispel it and stop it, you suddenly just start examining it, and you realize this is a fungus of some sort that's infecting him. Avok, you start to feel fuzzy, you start to feel faint, and you just kind of go down to one knee and then just kind of lay down. You don't really fall down, you just kind of...
can I change that a bit, actually?
Say again?
Can I, modify that a bit?
Sure. What do you want to do?
I want to go into a rage and just let out a bestial roar.
Okay. So you watch as Avok is sitting there, and he's trying to fight it, and you see he's getting down lower and lower, and suddenly you see him just go... and he lets out this enormous scream. As he does that, Kata, you're sitting there focusing your dispel magic, and as he screams, you can actually feel it in your head. There's just so much rage. You're actually blown back just a little bit. You have to take a step back, and you watch as the fungus kind of gets jettisoned out of his body, and you see these spikes just erupt from his shoulders, from his chest, from his neck. Avok, you suddenly aren't in the clearing anymore. You are in a place you've never seen. It looks somewhat similar to the arena you fought in Olgoth, where there's these pillars of glassed sand and things all around, and you see this relatively large blue dragon staring at you. Not quite the size of an Athuan, but massive. And you hear this voice in your head. You belong to me, human.
Fuck you!
You have spirit. I like that. Let's play. And I'd like you to roll for initiative.
Oh my fucking god!
For you guys, he's just sitting there, or standing there.
I go look for sharp weapons that these guys dropped.
Good.
From that dispel magic, where I know this is considered a curse.
You don't really know what it is. This is your first time getting it. You do get the idea that your dispel magic has altered how it's working.
Okay.
So you have done something, but this is weird. This is new magic you've never dealt with before.
Okay.
So you're not really sure what to do, other than he has fungus in him. Ava, what'd you get?
7.
7. Okay. So the dragon takes to the sky, lands in front of you, goes, "You pitiful creature. I could snap you in two with a thought."
Blah, blah, blah. I heard that before. Let's go, shit
And he
stain.
spins around and he slams you with his tail and knocks you back 30 feet.
Okay.
You feel weak. You can taste blood in your mouth. What do you want to do?
And I've got these spikes on.
Right now, you don't.
Or is okay, so this is just me and like what's probably gonna be a vision, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you don't even have your axe. What you do notice is, as you look at yourself, as you're picking yourself up, you have these two manacles on your wrists and these chains just going down into the sand below you.
Uh-oh.
And as you try and lift your arms, kind of like a seatbelt that you pull too fast, they just kind of lock.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Okay.
struggle. It makes it that much more rewarding when you break.
Uh-huh. Breaking. I got it. Avok's going to Frenzy Rage and he's gonna break the fucking manacles with his brute strength.
Go ahead and make me a strength athletics check.
Yeah, for advantage. Natural 20.
So as you're sitting there, and you can feel the manacles cutting into your wrists, and you can see the blood starting to drip down them. The pain just fuels your anger, and with one mighty pull, you just, boom, snap the chains on one, and then boom, snap the chains on the other, and you have this about 2.5, 3 foot length of chain on both wrists, and you sit there, you spin them, wrap them around your fists to kind of give you makeshift iron knuckles. The dragon goes, that's new. You will make a fine knight. And he sits there and he starts to reel back. You can see the lightning kind of sparking in his neck as he's about to shoot. But your anger just seems to be heightening your senses just that little bit, and time seems to slow as you feel these very small hands on your back, and you just feel Kata's presence kind of pushing you forward.
That feels great. Put your dukes up, blue boy.
What do you want to do? It's your turn. He hasn't. You basically are acting before he gets a chance to shoot the lightning breath.
Okay, so he's on the ground. How
Yep.
far is he from me?
Only about 30 feet away.
That works well. Okay, I think if he's ready to breathe. Alright, I think what I want to do, the moment he, lowers his head, I'm pretty sure, once he does the, gets his head down, I want to leap up, and, just as that breath comes out and, bring my, brass iron knuckles right down on his fucking eyeballs.
Okay.
Or head, skull,
So as
whatever.
you start running towards him, you hear a rumble in the ground, and suddenly these two manacles grip your legs. And I'd like an athletics check from you.
Uh-huh. This goes the last one. It's a 17.
17. So as you're going, they do it, and you almost trip, but you just kick your leg forward, smash. Another one breaks. Kick your leg forward, smash. The other one breaks. As you're running forward, it slowed you down, so now you are face to face with this dragon. You can see the lightning's about to come out. You leap into the air, and you feel the lightning just pass barely underneath you to the point where you get a little bit of discharge, but it just kind of fuels you even more, and you bring your hands down and smash him, and he goes, "What? No!" And suddenly you are surrounded by your friends again.
Ava! What happened?
Just a blue nuisance. Nothing to think about.
As you say that, suddenly the rest of you guys hear, "They're coming back!" You see the serrated death kind of riding Fluffy over to you guys, and you can see 4 more dragons. The blue one that you just scared away, and then 3 young blue dragons flying with him.
Aramis!
All coming towards you. Aramis comes over and goes, "Shit. Taking cover sounds like a great idea." And as they get, they're getting closer and closer, and suddenly you hear this very light but powerful voice going, "Oh, I don't think that will be necessary." And you guys look over to the portal, and the Eternal Empress is standing there with a staff in hand. She rises it and slams it into the ground, and you watch as this wave of energy just erupts from her, and the dragons, the 3 young dragons, just kind of hit it and crumple and roll off into the mountains. The larger blue dragon flies and seems to kind of crash through it, but has all these cuts and burns on him from doing it. You see he's going straight for the Eternal Empress. And then you hear, "Milady," and suddenly in front of the dragon is this elf with a massive greatsword who just thrusts it into his skull and rides the dragon's corpse down. And as the prince consort takes his sword out, he turns to you and goes, "Well, you certainly know how to show an Eladrin a good time." And he
Steel.
wipes the blade off. He goes, "Oh, I apologize, Avok. It's been so long since I've had the joy of felling a dragon." And as they say that, you see the portal is now spewing forth Eladrin in battle attire. And after a little bit, you see what look like engineers and mechanics coming through with supplies for fortifications and things like that. And then you see artificers coming through with magical items that will create shields and things like that. And very, very quickly over the next 20 minutes, there's a couple dragons that kind of flirt with the area, but as soon as they get close enough to feel the barrier, they're gone. And within about 30 minutes, there is about 300 Eladrin in total, including the Empress and the Prince Consort. And Aramis comes over and goes, "Well, guys have great timing." What do you guys want to do?
I'm just watching them assemble this beachhead and loving it. I'm like, about time. I was worried they weren't going to show up, to be honest.
Willow is very fascinated by the Empress's staff, but isn't saying anything on it. It's just like keeps looking at it, trying to understand what just happened and what the magic was.
Go ahead and make me just a straight intelligence check. And you don't know why, but you get advantage on this.
Oh, cool. Okay. That is significantly better. Straight intelligence then is a 22.
Okay. So looking at it, the staff itself seems to be a focus for her power that's been magically altered to amplify it. But you think that that barrier and just that show of magical force was her. And she's just, again, you're looking at a 1200 plus old wizard. She seems
She's
to know a thing.
All of that.
Yeah, she seems to know a thing or two.
Okay.
However, looking at her, you do kind of get the feeling that did take a pretty large toll out of her. And she's hiding it incredibly well, but you can kind of see behind the facade.
I go over to this blue dragon, the storm drake here, and do dragons have like two main like teeth or horns or tusks or something?
Depending on the dragon, some
Or
of
is
them. In general, they're just going to have kind of normal teeth, and like their teeth are sought after for their alchemical properties and for just how sharp they are, and strong they are. They rival steel in sharpness and strength. But beyond that, well, let's see. Yeah, you've taken up hard enough things. You've probably seen a book on it. This is your first time looking at a dead dragon corpse. But in general, a dragon will have a pouch where their breath, weapon, whatever causes it, will be located in that pouch, and it's generally off to the side of their trachea, so that they can breathe fire or acid or lightning, whatever it is. And then things like dragon blood has alchemical properties. Dragon scales have alchemical properties. Just about every part of a dragon, there are uses for it, but they also decay remarkably fast if they're not preserved.
I would very much like to take stuff. Go ahead.
Okay.
I was going to say, seeing Fate go, Willow goes and joins because she suddenly remembers that she knows things about alchemy and dragons are useful for alchemy.
So if you, what do you guys want to try and harvest? Because depending on what you're going to harvest will kind of dictate what all you can get and how much time you have.
I need distinctive proof that we've killed a dragon. I had proof that we killed a kraken, but nobody believed me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need like the two biggest front teeth or something that I can put on a necklace for the purposes of intimidating other dragons and getting their attention, that kind of thing.
For trophies, the most common thing to take from a dragon is actually the claws, because they're relatively easy enough to cure, so that they keep the scales and everything on them, so it's easy to tell it's a dragon claw. So that if you're looking for a trophy, that would be the thing that you would want.
That's where I go.
Okay, Willow, what are you
I
looking
would
for?
say, in thinking that the dragons were able to do damage to each other partly with teeth and things, she wants to take a tooth and see if it helps her with lenses.
Sure. Go ahead and you can both roll survival checks as you try and extract things from this dragon.
Okay, and I am proficient with alchemist supplies, so if I can help in any way.
To be honest, what Fade's doing is not an incredibly technically difficult thing. You are doing something much more difficult. So.
Okay.
If I sees you guys doing this, he just like shouts over, Save a piece for me.
Avok, you're still very much worn out from this whole ordeal.
Well,
at
but
the
Willow
moment,
does
you
try to
still
pull a
have
second tooth.
you
for
still
him.
have spikes growing out of you.
Yes, listen.
You okay? Almost hurt.
Does it hurt?
Yeah, it's things piercing your skin. You're actually bleeding from most of the spots where the spikes are coming out. So
Okay, so I'm like Wolverine all over.
yeah,
Gotcha.
you're not having a good time right now.
It's not pleasant.
So Willow, Fade, would you guys get?
18.
Okay.
10.
Fade, you're in attempting to harvest a claw. You get a little bit trigger happy with your gauntlet, and you end up from the foot that you're taking it from. The other 3 claws are just worthless at this point, but you do get one, and it's big.
Sure.
You can easily.
I'll carve
you
it
could
down
make it into
to
a
portable hole
belt.
size.
You could put it on. It'd be a little big for a necklace, but
Whatever the opening of the bag of holding I'm holding
You-
is.
put it in without too much difficulty.
All right. I'll gentle repose it and then throw it in.
Willow, you're able to extract with an 18. You're able to get both of kind of the canines of the dragon,
Cool.
plus 4 other just nondescript teeth. So a grand total of 6 dragon teeth. You're faster than Fate is, so you can probably try for at least one more item before the corpse starts to decay to the point where it's just not safe to continue cutting into it.
Anything else you need? Then she'll just, I guess, grab some more scales just in case problems happen with the first one.
Okay. Go ahead and make me another survival check. I'll give you advantage because you have the teeth that'll actually cut better than any weapons you guys have.
Cool. 23.
Yeah, you're able to get about 5 pounds worth of dragon scales. And after you're done with that, again, because this is your first dragon, it takes you the better part of about 20 minutes to get all those things. And by that point, again, the dragon's corpse decays at an incredibly accelerated rate because of the kind of magical being that it is. So at that point, you kind of step back because you don't want like the electric sack in it to burst and fry you all or things like that. So you kind of all back off. Kata and Avok. Kata, if you'd like to roll nature, you could try and understand this a little better.
Can I use guidance beforehand to give me a boost? Or is it...
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Makes perfect sense, to be honest.
That was the limitation you gave for me, so... That was the limitation you gave for me. Use it on, like, nature-related checks, so...
It would make perfect sense for you to kind of say a prayer to nature to try and figure out this fungus, so...
nature...
Avok, you look like you're a really fun guy right now.
Go!
Oh, that's really good.
Take inspiration reluctantly. That was bad.
That's a 19!
Um,
Which is pretty
So-
good for me.
When you were growing up, one of the things that kind of terrified you and fascinated you at the same time, there was this fungus that every so often would infect ants. And what would happen is the fungus itself would grow inside of the ant and would actually be able to control it somewhat.
A parasite.
Mm-hmm. And when the ant finally did die, it would kind of go over to another ant and it would just infect entire colonies eventually. And this shares some similarities to that, but there isn't. This has obviously been manipulated by magic to do something very specific that you can't understand.
Mm-hmm. Is this like similarly like contagious in any
To
way?
be honest, you're not sure. You do notice that once the spikes came out of him, it's not spreading anymore.
Okay.
So as far as you can tell, it's not contagious right now, but you don't know how long that's going to last.
And he's like super resistant, immune to poison right now, so it could be way worse than it looks.
You know from traveling with Avok for so long, he's a tough one to poison, to diseased, to anything. Like, he's incredibly resistant. You think a lesser creature infected by this fungus would not be in control of its senses at all.
All creatures are lesser than Avok.
Do you want some alone time?
Not with him.
So anyway, back to Avok. Avok, you can hear these whispers in the back of your mind of just the things that the dragon said to you. And when Willow and Fade were cutting into it, you could hear kind of screams of pain very faintly in the back of your head. But now that the corpse is kind of dissolving, you just keep hearing this thing in the back of your head. And it just keeps repeating the same phrase over and over. Enact my will. But as much as you keep hearing it, you feel no compulsion to follow. Like you've been compelled to through magic to do things before. This isn't doing anything. You know that's what's supposed to be happening. Like, you can feel that's how it's supposed to work, but it's simply not.
We may need to talk to Arlene about this, see if he knows anything.
Yep. I think, dead blue dragon over there. These came from his guy. Fucker was trying to control me.
Oh, not good.
Yeah, well, he's dead now, so fuck him. This is just uncomfortable.
Willow
know
comes
it's-
over.
Good.
I was just going to say, Willow comes over and says, well, yours at least and hands you one of the big teeth.
Thank you. That's one.
As you hold on to the tooth, you feel pride for some bizarre reason. You can't really explain why, but just holding on to it and just feeling kind of the essence of the dragon that's still contained in its tooth and the fact that you now have complete control over this tooth, you're very proud of yourself for some odd reason.
Yep. Yeah. I'm nobody's bitch, buddy.
Oh.
Kata, you were trying to say something?
Hey. No, I'm just agreeing with them.
Okay. So as your rage is wearing off, the pain from these spikes is now becoming more and more apparent. When you're raging, like all your pain senses kind of dull, and now that it's starting to wear off, like these really hurt.
Okay.
And I'd like you to make me a let's say a charisma check. Straight up charisma.
Oh, shit.
That's a 17.
Okay. So as you're sitting there and they hurt. And you're starting to bleed more from them, and it's just none of this is okay right now. You're sitting there and you can feel kind of the tendrils in your body that these spikes are sprouting from. And you can feel them all going back to these bracers. You kind of flex your arms and the pain is getting you angry again. And so you're sitting there, you're focusing, you just let out this really big kind of exasperated yell, and the spikes shoot back into your skin. And you can still feel them inside. You can still feel this fungus inside of you, but the pain, for the most part, is gone. And the wounds themselves start knitting together a little bit faster than you're used to. They stop bleeding almost immediately. And you can almost feel the fungus kind of pulling the holes shut as it goes back into you.
That looked not great.
Okay.
He got some sort of fungus in him, trying to control him.
Well, then we must get it out. And I pick up the sharp tool that I found on the corpse.
And do what?
I look at Avok and then remember he's not exactly happy with me, and I put it down.
Good boy.
I will mosey to the Eternal Empress unless anyone else is going to do something. And when I get over to her, I nod in respect and thank her for her assistance. Welcome to the Kael Isles.
It is us who should be thanking you. Seems that quite a few of my men were not able to survive the draconic onslaught, and yet you and your friends not only survived, but chased them off long enough for reinforcements. It's an impressive feat.
Thanks.
Are dragons a large problem here? I don't seem to remember them being that much of a difficulty.
I just look at everyone else. I mean, you never saw any really before we found the one, and then it all went downhill.
Interesting. What one did you find?
Do I tell her this? I don't think so. Well, we fought one in the arena, a smaller, bluish one, I think. Not as big as this one, but that was interesting.
Well,
Yeah, they're all here, like, fighting over territory, apparently, which is new.
that was the Dragon Wars, but that was settled eons ago.
Yeah, just like the Chosen Wars, right?
Well, it was forgotten more than settled. Anathanel, he ruled over this area. We had a good relationship with him. He claimed the islands as his own. He protected the gateways to the Feywild and to the Shadowfell.
Is that the name of Elaine's?
I hope to God it is. I can't remember. I know there was there was A's and Y's and TH's in there.
Sure. Then I will say, well, since you already have said information, I do. You make me recall of a time where we did rescue that guy from some tiefling imprisonment that he was enduring. Yeah, they used him to like power this whole undead army. It was a thing. We took care of it. No, actually, we just released them into the water. So that's probably a thing still. But he's okay, or he was before we came and visited you.
This is all very strange. Suddenly, Fluffy comes up with the serrated death, and the Prince Consort draws his blade and kind of looks at you, sees that you're not really flinching, and lowers his blade slightly. Goes, "What business do you have with the Empress?" And serrated death goes, "Well, we're not really looking for another Eladrin ruler. We just had one. Didn't turn out well for him. So I'd like to know what exactly your plans are here." And the Empress goes, "I have my own kingdom to rule. I do not need another. I am here to help repay a debt to friends." "Well, in that case, this area seems to be a hell of a lot more hospitable than a damn cave. I'm going to go bring the rest of the refugees here, if you don't mind." Well, as we fortify our foothold here, we should be able to support a small population, but we will expect anyone living under our protection to aid somehow, whether that's preparation of food, tending to wounded. Oh, you don't have to worry about that. We've been doing that for 6 months now. I'll be back with many able-bodied people that'll be able to help you here. Wonderful. Will your metal monstrosity be joining us? Oh, that's Fluffy. He's harmless. And they kind of wander off towards the cave. That was interesting. Well, my friends, it seems yet again I am in your debt. Hopefully this time I'll be able to repay it without asking you for another favor. Unfortunately, I have things to oversee, and I need to return to the Verdant Empire to ensure things don't fall apart there. I'll leave my love here to direct things in my absence. And now that we control both sides of the portal, we should have no problem supporting you in any way that we can. However, you will most definitely want to secure the portal to the Shadowfell. As if the tieflings are causing mischief as much as you say they are, then more likely than not, they're using aid from the Shadowfell. They guarded the portal in ages past.
We don't know where that is, do we?
Where that?
You haven't found another portal that you're aware of, other than the dwarven one that got you to the city, but...
So, might I ask, where that portal is?
Oh, you're unaware. There's a rather large island. There was a tiefling settlement there. Some tiefling nobles had a rather large manor there, and there was a small city. It was a large island to the east. One of the largest items, other than where the Dragonborn
There.
lived.
Cool.
You seem
Hey,
upset.
you've been there?
This was before you joined us. Actually, this was before Kata and you joined us. So
look-
you know what she's talking about, don't you?
Yeah, it's Corin's place.
Yep. Fucking hey. That place is freaking undead infested.
Well, I'm certainly sorry to have brought up such bad memories. I'm going to return to the Verdant Empire.
Thank you, milady.
Last question,
Yes.
if I may. Aramis mentioned something about a way to prevent time changing going through the portal again. Should we need to know that? Who should we ask?
I can perform the ritual on you if needed. It's only necessary when going from the Feywild to
Okay.
the prime material plane. The wizards we'll have guarding the portal will know the incantation as well. It's not something I really have the time to teach right now, but should
Thank
you
you.
need it, we have plenty who are familiar with it. I'm sorry, I'd completely forgotten that you would not be familiar with the time dilation. It's, again, been hundreds of years since we've used this portal.
Well, I'm glad we could help you get it running, and hopefully after we deal with this nonsense, it will stay open.
Hopefully. Anyway, my friends, it has been an interesting time, to say the least. Goodbye. And she walks through the portal. The print consort immediately calls over a few of the guys and just starts kind of barking orders and kind of getting fortifications built and other things. Aramis wanders over. Well, it's been fun, but I'm gonna help out the prince consort. He'd just lose himself if I'm not there. So yeah, if you guys need me, I'll be here. Just give me a holler, okay?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
And if you would, can you avoid pissing off any other large groups of incredibly powerful creatures? Just for the time being is all.
We will try.
Great.
I say nothing.
Fighting dragons. Makes the Warforged seem tame. And he just kind of wanders off. So what do you guys want to do?
Wow, talk about memory lane.
Faye just kind of takes stock of all these new people here and what Serrated Death said. And although the Verdant Empire has helped us, it sure does feel a lot like the Eladrin are in power again. Like he said, that didn't go well. So I'm I'm showing a lot of restraint. I'm not like excited to talk to anybody. So I want to go back and just help the refugees and my family, get them up here.
Okay. The rest of you gonna go with him then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the entryway to the cave is 10 minutes away. As you guys are going along, it takes you half a day to get down there. And by the time you get down there, people have already started packing up stuff and things like that. And you can see the few bits of supplies and things like that were kind of left over are the ones that they seem to be cooking off a lot of their food stores just so they don't have to take them. So there's a fairly large amount of food prepared that people are just kind of digging into as they're packing up and stuff like that. And everyone seems to be in a relatively jovial mood. So what do you guys want to do?
I want to sit down with my group if everybody's around.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like your tooth there, Avok. It's pretty cool. What's going on with the whole thorn thing?
Well, Avok showing the chitinous bracers. I done got me a fucking fungus.
That was
I'm-
amazing.
I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. I'm surprised it took this long, but that's cool. Are you interested in me trying to learn something about it for you?
You don't mind. I don't know what to think. So if you want to identify whatever the fuck this is, by all means.
Willow, do you have that or no?
I don't know.
Well, I do, so I'll do it.
Ooh. Okay.
Which spell?
Identify.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I need 11 minutes hanging out with Avok.
Okay. You guys can take a short rest too. So as you guys are doing that, Fate, as you're kind of examining it, as you try to identify it, you realize you can't. There's some magic to it that you get was supposed to kind of work as like a dominate person spell, but on a very other level, and that magic is broken. There isn't really a better way to describe it. Avok broke the magic.
Okay.
And it's still working, but it's not working the way it's supposed to, and you can't really tell what it's supposed to do now. You do get the idea, because this is a magically altered fungus, a nature cleric, or better yet, a druid, a very powerful druid, would probably be able to tell you a lot more about this and maybe even be able to identify it fully.
I tell Avok, I don't know. Pretty cool, I guess. I got nothing. Sorry. If I find someone who can, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Right.
Avok's had to sit there for 10 minutes with me holding his hand while this is going on.
It's a little bit clammy when you let go.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do what Hulk did to Thor in Avengers.
Yup. It didn't feel great.
Willow, as you guys had some downtime, you're able to go back and tinker a little bit more, and you're surprised at how quickly you're able to shape these scales and infuse them with magic and things to make them translucent. And by the end of the short rest, you have 2 lenses that you can kind of switch out whenever you need. You kind of built these goggles so that you can just switch the lenses, kind of like a eye doctor thingy.
Viewfinder, 2 glasses. Yep.
1 or 2?
You made 2 scouters.
2? How about 3 or 4? Here's 3,
Okay, Dr. Jody, please.
and here's 4. Sorry, having lived with glasses for most of my life, I have sat in that chair far too many times. My odd doctor's awesome, but it's the same thing everywhere.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's done. You guys get a meal, and it's pretty decent. Again, they were rationing food before, and they're just not now. Having access to the ruins, and then probably most of the mountain area you guys are in, gives them access to a lot more food, including protein that they just couldn't get in caves. So they seem to be happy.
That's something.
Yep.
We need to kind of talk to whoever besides Serrated Death has been corralling everybody and kind of get an actual lay down on the situation. Like, we need to devise something going forward. Like, we're not going to sit here and try to fight the dragons one-on-one, or if they'll come at us, because that's not going to work.
Well, your mother has kind of taken a leadership position, and she's kind of directing people and breaking them off into groups, and like, okay, you take down beds, you secure food, you take care of the wounded, you get them ready. So she's kind of taken over, and the Serrated Death seems very happy to just kind of be working as opposed to delegating.
Then I just kind of look at it. I'll be right back, and I go walk over to my mom with my head kind of like down, like a little kid.
And she's in the middle of kind of describing the process of how to break down everything and get it ready to move. And she notices you there, and she goes, just take care of it for me, will you? And she turns to you.
Hey, Mom.
You're still alive, I see. That's nice.
Yeah, we got some help.
I heard
Some
you
people that we met.
fought some dragons. Certainly.
Yeah, they ran away, and then one came back, so we stopped them. It's kind of like what I do now with my friends. We like do stuff like that in service to, and I kind of scan for who I still believe to be the Dark Lady, and all in service of her.
Yeah, she had a conversation with your sister. Fade, we need to discuss your father.
Is now the time for that?
When we join up with these Feywild Ladrin, I'm fairly certain things will start moving very quickly, and we'll all be busy, and you'll have your own thing that you have to do with your friends. We have the time now.
I was forced to do what I did. He wouldn't have it any other way.
I know. You can see she's fighting back tears. I married him. I know just how stubborn he can be. When you first left, we heard about the explosion of that ship, and we were told you died. funeral. Your father was incredibly proud of you. The platinum rapier you worked for, he told us how you died in service of your people. That no one could have asked more of you. And then, a few months later, we were being questioned, interrogated. They took your sister. She won't talk about what happened. They accused us of helping you try and overthrow the Empire. They threatened to use your sister and I as fuel for some evil process. Your father made a deal to save us, and we thought you'd betrayed us. We thought you had betrayed your people. We didn't know. If he had known, it wouldn't have ended like that. I promise. I don't blame you for what happened. I blame them. You need to understand that.
I will kind of look her in the eyes for the first time in this conversation with tears kind of running down, and I said words for him.
He would have liked that.
I'm just glad you're okay now. So
she
to
kind
speak.
of just breaks down and embraces you. She's like, I missed you so much.
I've wanted to come home for so long.
And as you guys just kind of hold each other and weep for a few minutes, she finally kind of pushes you back and goes, your sister is going to take some time. We were told horrible, horrible things about you. But she loves you too. Don't forget that, okay?
Yep.
And you promise me right now, no matter what happens, I'm not burying you, okay? You're coming home after all of this is done.
Yeah.
And that is a command from your mother. Do you understand me, young man?
I do.
Okay. And you and your friends do what you need to do. And know that we'll be here waiting for you when you're done. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and she kind of steps back, and you kind of see the very noble presence that she's always had kind of shift back. Now, I have, and she's wiping her eyes, I have things that I need to do. I'm certain I will need to meet with these new Eladrin once we arrive to set up work schedules and the like. So you go run along and play with your friends.
I'm going to introduce you to them if we get some time later.
Yes, I'd appreciate that.
There's more to tell you.
I look forward to it. Perhaps at evening meal tonight when when we're all moved into our new home.
Okay. Yep. All right. Good job keeping everything. And I just go.
Okay. The rest of you guys fades off talking with Mom.
Are they like visually within? Like, can we still see them talking? Or like
they stepped into an area that gave them a little bit of privacy.
Okay.
You do notice. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
17.
Okay. So as you look around, you watch them go to a place that have a little more privacy. As you're looking around, you're noticing your eye seems to be caught and drawn to things that don't 100% make sense to you. Like you're looking at people, but you almost feel like you're looking through them sometimes, seeing not just the person, but like aspects of their personality every so often that just kind of draws you. And you notice when you look back over towards Fade, despite the fact that you can't see him, you know exactly where he and his mother are, and can sense this crazy amount of emotion coming from that area that if you focus too much on it just overwhelms you. And it's a very bizarre thing because it's not visual, but it is.
She rubs her eyes to try and see if it goes away, and then just kind of rubs her head like this is going to cause a lot of headaches.
And as you look
But
around,
is really interested.
As you look around, you kind of focus your eyes a little bit. Kind of goes back to just what you can see. But in the back of your head, you can kind of feel almost like the lenses on your goggles. You have this kind of lens on your mind. You can kind of shift in every so often. It's exhausting. It's not something you can do all the time. You can just kind of feel it in the back there.
She pulls out the goggles and tries to put them on, just to see if like overlays and what's happening there. That's her instinct.
Yeah, as you put them on, you affix the red lens. You look around and you can see every weakness in a person's stance, in their clothing. You can see where the gaps are and everything like that. They're almost highlighted for you. And it's really bizarre because you, again, being kind of culinarily focused, you're used to looking at a dish and going, oh, that piece needs to be moved here. Oh, that's not right. You know, plating and stuff like that. You've dealt with that before. And drink mixing, you know, you can look at a drink, especially ones that have different densities that, you know, you make pictures with. You can see exactly where it's broken. Now you can do that with people, and it's kind of weird when you put that lens on. And you kind of flip it out and you put the blue lens on. And as you're looking, you start noticing where people's gazes go, and you can see the things that they're focused on, and you start just kind of seeing what it is that's interesting them the most, the things that are kind of motivating them, that are driving them at that particular point in time. And again, it's kind of like these little highlights of, you can watch their eye lines, and your eye is naturally drawn to their eyes and then to what they're looking at, or their body language and what they're covering or caressing, and that. And again, it's really weird, but it makes perfect sense to you. It's like that person is really focused on that thing, and that person is hiding hiding something in their pocket, and they're really preoccupied about it, or that person's trying to get with that person. And that's all they care about right now. And then you flip it off, and it's normal vision.
She slips one back in and then looks at her friends.
Which one do you?
Just out of curiosity.
Which
Ava and
lens do you
Kata.
use?
The blue one.
Okay. Make me a. What's the roll? I think. Do you have the sheet? Because I don't have it in front of me right now.
It's as an action I observe and learn.
There's not a
Oh wait,
roll you make?
it's
Hold on a second. I can.
I have to make a stealth check against passive perception. That's gonna go well. 17.
Not bad at all.
No, I'm assuming Ava, your passive perception is less than 17.
Yeah, by one.
Give me just
Oh,
one
really?
second. I'm
Awesome.
sorry. I'm opening up my. There it is. Sorry, folks who are watching right now. I'm reading the magic item that I created. Okay, yeah, no, that's what it was. Sorry. So who are you looking at first?
Ava.
Avok. So as you look at him, I can't actually tell you because that's his character, and I have to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ava.
But okay. I was just gonna ask, but if you're doing it, whispers, that's fine.
So looking at him, you start to see his eye line first, which is kind of darting around a little bit because he's got a lot on his mind. I'll let you just say it out loud for right now. What is kind of the main motivating force for you right now?
Right now.
Like what? To make it easier, what do you want to do? And why do you want to do it? The why is what we're focused on right now. Right now, what do you want to do, and the why do you want to do it is what we need to know.
Kill dragons because they are fucking our shit up.
So Willow, you can kind of see him kind of focus. Like he looks up to the roof of the cavern every so often. He keeps kind of looking at his spikes, and then you kind of see him get angry a little bit, and he grips his fist, and he'll take his axe out a little bit, and you can just see kind of the image of the blue dragon kind of floating in front of him as he just kind of casually swipes his axe through it.
All right. I think she glances at Kata too if she can.
Okay.
I don't know what time we have.
Kata, right now, think about what it is you right now want to do, and what is the why do you want to do it?
She would have to beat my passive perception, wouldn't she?
Technically, it's only if she's telling an ally what she's doing. She just gains this knowledge because of the magic item.
Well, right now, I think she would be worried about Avok because Possibly because what could happen to that dragon knight, since he was being controlled, it could eventually happen to him.
So Willow, as you look at Kata, she seems to be glancing at Avok every so often, and then you'll see her kind of sit down and she'll draw things in the dirt of the cave and that, and kind of think back, and you can almost see this image of these little ants kind of moving this weird jerky motion you've never seen, and then you watch as these extra like antenna kind of grow out of the ants at weird angles, and then kind of grow into another ant, and then it starts walking, and then you just kind of look at Avok again, and all of this, you get this idea that she's really focused on these ants and Avok.
Well, it takes the goggles off and just like staring at them, marveling at how she's able to do this now. Yeah. And then kind of shakes herself out and just looks around and goes, okay, so, what do we do now?
You're talking to us, Simpson?
Yeah, just you and Kata, since your guys are there.
Good question.
I imagine it's the same shit we always do. Save the world.
Do we have to go, I guess, that place that you've been before? Find the other portal?
I don't even know. I personally do not want to go back there. And if we do, it's going to be pretty messy.
Okay.
Well, when me and Vade and Elaine were last there, it was overrun by a lot of zombie motherfuckers. Like hordes of them.
Okay.
Yeah, we ran into a psychotic Eladrin, which at the time, maybe not surprising, but this one, let's just say I was really happy to fucking kill him.
Also sounds normal.
At about this time, Fade kind of saunters back. You can see his eyes are a little bit puffy, a little red.
I look at Avok. So, Corn's Island, huh? That's a thing.
Apparently.
I think I'm going to start blessing some water. We might need it.
Given what we last saw there, I feel that might be necessary.
Um,
And again, it's been a long time. Actually, Jenny, how long has it been since Corn's Island?
With the 6-month jump from the Feywild, you're pushing. Was it 6 or is it 4? I can't remember.
I think it's at 4.
then we had the whole build the resistance time, because that all happened after Corn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say it's probably been close to, I don't know, a year. Kael time?
Might be over, because I remember when we escaped Olgoth, we ended up in that mushroom forest, and when we exited, it was 3 months later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so about
Yeah.
month-ish, or year-ish, year and a half.
Okay.
Long enough that a lot of things could have changed.
I recount the highlights. I give Kata and Will the highlight reel, and I don't mention Avok's brother because that's not my story to tell.
They fought a couple undead beholders, a giant flesh golem, and then fought a dude that was trying to become a lich who happened to have giant pet spiders.
That's where we met Song.
Ooh. Okay. Well, then that makes sense.
And
Then,
Avok
if that's-
burnt down an entire tower full of spiders and ran along the edge as it burned and collapsed.
Well, Elaine
No.
was a maniac in that instance, but Avon definitely firefighted like everyone's safety.
Which
Yeah,
really
he had
curious
two of
how
us.
they-
He was carrying two of us.
That's
Yep.
good.
That was oh, man, that was a trip.
It was a good
It was
few
something.
sessions. Avok kind of died for a little bit. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those episodes. It was right before I joined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot. I died that time.
Pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, when they finally left, they were chased off by literal waves of undead, like puppet things, coming towards them.
Yeah, that's where I found the gold dragon as well.
Yep. And Elaine went Dragon Knight.
I tell Willow that there's a lot of adamantite or whatever down there in the hole, like a lot.
Yeah, Willow, you probably would have been fascinated by the fact that they went through literally dozens of labs using non-Eladrin tech. So, very kind of alien.
And also, I think I remember you saying that that's where they found the spider silk.
Yep.
That ended up making
yeah.
the sales.
Mm-hmm.
So,
She
it's a
would
little
have been,
disorganized.
yeah, you would have been familiar at least with the location. They probably called it something different to you.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, so if you look at our map, underneath
Yeah.
yes, I know our Spider Kingdom is where we got the silk sail, and then we burnt that place down, and then we went to Corin's.
We did burn down. We just left a halfling.
Yeah, you left a halfling with the nice spider people.
He's one of them now. I forgot about that.
So anyway, you guys are able to. Is there anything else you want to say? Because the rest of the group is getting ready to start heading out. They've actually already sent a couple parties up with supplies and stuff, and it's getting to the point where the last group of refugees is getting ready to go.
What time is it? Like, are we going to be able to get back up to the top before?
Yeah,
nightfall,
you'll
or-
get there
Okay.
pretty late at night, but
Okay.
Okay. Then help
anything else
carry
you
whatever we
want
can.
to say before you head up again?
I think I'm good.
So you guys head up with the last of the group. You guys are actually taking the wounded in addition to the last of the supplies and everything. And on your way up, you really don't have too much difficulty. There's a couple, cave creatures that you have to scare away or convince that you're not worth attacking. And when you get up to the mouth of the cave, you do see a small flying drake kind of coming in, but it leaves relatively quickly as soon as it kind of feels the energy from the barrier that has now been taken over entirely by these magic items they brought through. So it's not being sustained by a wizard or anything. And as you guys get up, you can see Fade. You can see your mother speaking with the prince consort. You can see the serrated death has kind of set up shop almost. They brought blacksmithing, kind of a mobile repair station. They have a little forge, an anvil, and stuff like that. And he's kind of set up shop with the blacksmith, the battle blacksmith that they brought with them, and he's kind of directing things from there. And you can see Aramis is actually talking to a few of the wood elves, and is looking like he's getting them ready to do patrols and scouting, and everyone seems to kind of be gelling pretty well.
I think I'll look at Avok and so do we go hunting dragons now? Or do we want to go right for Corin's place?
As you say that, you hear a voice behind you. I may have some suggestions on that front. And
Spin around.
Prince Consort comes over and he lays down a map that looks remarkably old and seems to be missing a couple cities you're familiar with, but for the most part looks like the Kael Isles. And the Prince Consort goes, "Forgive me, it's been about 600 years since we last updated our maps, but your mother here has been informing us exactly what's going on. No one has had any contact from the Shadowfell Island, so we don't know what's there, but we do know some of the rangers and wood elves have actually allied themselves with an emerald dragon who has apparently unpopular, has taken up residence in the southern half of Kael Isle and built a lair for herself. Now, the chromatic dragons are evil and, for the most part, are easier killed than negotiated with. But the gem dragons, they can be negotiated with. So it's possible we may be able to get an ally from that. Ordenye is the last bastion of the old Eladrin Empire. They've gone to calling themselves the Platinum Empire. They have slaves and prisoners that they took with them, that if we could free them, would probably flock to our cause. They are one of the few areas that is not controlled by a dragon. Draconis has an ancient red dragon that has taken over the majority of the island, but there are a few metallic and gem dragons that have small resistances throughout the island. For the most part, the Dragonborn have pledged themselves to the Red Dragon. Apparently, his name is Elrar, and he's not going to be easy to topple, but we knew that the Dragonborn centuries ago. They were a noble people. I can't think that they willingly would be helping such an evil creature. There must be more to it. I would almost say liberating them from that dragon would be useful as well. And then in Thane Serene, where the Black Sails used to have their headquarters, they apparently have signed on with a black dragon and listen to him. So, again, chromatic dragons are generally evil, but they are motivated by power and greed, and therefore they can be manipulated if necessary. And with the fact that these followers are mostly motivated by gold, I don't believe we could count on them to be allies, but we might be able to convince them to be the thorn in the sides of some of our enemies. And then various other islands have different dragon masters as well. So now that we know this, what we would prefer is to have an Athanel ruling over this area again. However, we have no idea where he is. And frankly, this many powerful dragons would not be something he can conquer on his own.
Let me see if I can talk to him in a little bit.
Okay.
Or at least his servant.
And as that's happening, you hear another kind of crystal clear, almost unearthly voice. I may have some insight as to what is happening on these islands. And the almost unearthly beautiful woman with blue skin comes over. My champion, my chosen.
I blush.
And his stalwart allies. I thank you for doing what you have. But I cannot remain in this form. I must be taken back to Elysium so I can shed this mortal form and take my place where I'm meant to be.
I apologize profusely. Again.
What's done is done. Even with my vast knowledge, I could not have predicted what happened. Had I anticipated this, I might have done things differently. But I had to focus so much of my power on this plane of existence to protect your loved ones, that when you called upon my power, instead of it simply being transmitted through you, you pulled all of it out of Elysium and the prime material plane like a magnet and drew it all to one place.
How can I help you get back?
Well,
how can we help you?
We need to go through the portal to the Shadowfell and then into Elysium, and to my throne. Now, there's an imbalance in power since I'm no longer sitting on my throne. The other gods, especially the guiding beacon, will do everything they can to ensure I cannot return or attempt to raise someone else in my place who will agree with their ideas. fortunately for them, we have something they need. And to my knowledge, she's the only one that currently exists. And she slowly turns and looks at Willow. You have no idea who you are, do you?
I thought I did. Who do you think that I am?
Perhaps it's best if I show you. Your home was not very far from here, and I seem to remember the way. If you'd follow me. And she turns to the Prince Consort. Mighty Eladrin, we will return. I would recommend, though, that you prepare your forces. Simply because you killed a single dragon does not mean the rest will not be fighting tooth and claw for this area. This is one of the most powerful areas in this world, and they will not be happy that they don't have it. And then she just starts walking out of the camp.
Willow follows.
Okay.
Eva just like goes, what the fuck is she on about?
I want to message Willow. Do you want us to come with? You can reply to this message.
She just turns because she can't really speak. She doesn't know what's going on and just nods and then keeps walking.
Come on, let's
So
go.
yes.
So you guys go, and the Dark Lady takes you into kind of a like a goat trail into the mountains surrounding this area, and you guys do these twisted turns, and suddenly you watch her just walk into a cliff face.
Without thinking, Willow just walks right after.
Okay.
Oh, good.
You take 2 points of damage as you slam into a wall. After you do that, the wall itself kind of shakes and shudders, and you watch it just slowly drift down. And the Dark Lady kind of looks and sees you have like a little scuff on your forehead. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I sometimes forget. I should probably warn you when I'm doing things you can't. Follow me."
Okay.
And as you guys go in, the first thing you notice is the Dark Lady is glowing this deep indigo that's kind of illuminating. And you look around and you're not in a cave. The walls here are carved. And you can see carvings and symbols along the wall that the rest of you guys, they just look like gibberish. But for some odd reason, Willow, they seem very comforting and familiar to you. As you guys keep going down, it starts to slope down. You go further and further. And suddenly, it opens up into this relatively large room. And the Dark Lady kind of extends her hands, and these braziers all around the room just burst into light with these blue flames in them, and they illuminate this entire massive hall. Ceiling itself is easily 30 to 50 feet high. There are these massive pillars that kind of form a pathway to the center where you can see this altar of some sort. And as you guys look on the wall, you can see a mural that looks somewhat familiar. You've seen something similar to this, where you see all these people, these humanoid figures moving around, and every so often you'll see a larger humanoid figure that has a holy symbol above it. And intermixed in there, every so often you'll see another figure that just kind of is larger and almost glows with this bright light to it, despite the fact that no light is coming towards it. And there's a grand total of 9 of these non-chosen. And Fade, you instantly recognize the mural as telling the story of the Chosen War. But there's these 9 figures. And Willow, as you keep following the Dark Lady, she eventually brings you up to this altar and just kind of gestures. And as you go up to the altar, you see a word. You don't know how you know it's a word, but you do. It's not a language you've ever seen before. But you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the word itself is polyhymnia. And for whatever reason, that seems very familiar to you. And the Dark Lady goes, "Welcome home, Muse of Hymns." And that's where we're going to end it for tonight. So, if you kind of jumped in at a random point, I will be uploading this to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Trainer Jody. I normally record this locally. Was having issues with OBS today, so I didn't do a recording, so I'll just be uploading it directly from Twitch, meaning it'll probably be on my channel by tomorrow morning at the latest. Otherwise, yeah, that's all for me this week. Hope you guys all had fun, and I will see you guys next week, actually, because we had 5 Wednesdays this week. And so next week will be Kael Isles yet again. So again, that's all for me, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.